took my usual corner booth, the one beside the rainy glass. Ordered coffee for one this time, though old habits die so slow. The waitress called me sir, never asked where I'd been. 20 years of Tuesday mornings, and not a single soul remembered my face. The jukebox played softly, like it knew something I didn't. At the diner on Cedar Street, loneliness wears a familiar coat. I sit where laughter used to live, listening for voices that don't come anymore. Everybody leaves eventually, everybody becomes a memory. And tonight, I'm just another old man eating in the company of ghosts at the diner on Cedar Street. You used to steal my French fries, complain that the coffee was too weak. We'd watch the town wake up together, making plans we'd never keep. Now the seat across from me holds nothing but winter light, and I catch myself looking up every time the front door opens. Funny how hope survives even after it learns the truth. At the diner on Cedar Street, I still leave room for someone else, still order more than I can finish, still take my time saying goodbye. Because some kinds of loneliness aren't loud enough to break you, they simply settle in, quiet as steam, rising from a cooling cup at the diner on Cedar Street. I used to think being alone in empty rooms, but no, it's remembering exactly who belonged there. It's carrying conversations with people who no longer answer back. At the diner on Cedar Street, the neon sign still burns outside. The world keeps turning without asking who got left behind. I pay the bill, button my old coat, watch strangers laugh across the room, and wonder if someday someone will miss me the way I miss you. Until then I'll keep coming here, sitting by this window, keep keeping company with all the lives I used to have at the diner on Cedar Street. Loneliness still knows my name. The coffee goes cold, rain trails down the glass. The bell above the diner door rings once more. Someone arrives, someone leaves. I stare at the empty booth across from mine. Run my thumb around the rim of my cup and breathe into the quiet. Some nights, the hardest part of growing old isn't being forgotten by the world. It's remembering everyone you can no longer share breakfast with.
I drove past the old neighborhood with nowhere special left to be. There it stood beneath a maple tree, the little house that once held me. The porch swing had been painted white, the garden roses were all gone. Different curtains filled the windows where our shadows used to fall. I slowed down at the driveway, but I didn't stop. Some places survive, they just stop belonging to you. The house with different curtains still carries pieces of my name. Different laughter through the hallways, different pictures in the frames. Someone else's Sunday mornings, someone else's Christmas lights. And here I am, an old man parked outside, missing a life that moved on without me. The house with different curtains. I remember bicycles on the front lawn, school shoes by the back door, your voice calling from the kitchen as supper cooled on the stove. We fought beneath that old roof, made up before the day was through. Lord, we built an ordinary life there, never knowing ordinary things would become the ones I'd miss the most. I almost knocked just to hear the floorboards again, but memories don't answer doors. The house with different curtains taught me what loneliness can be. Not empty rooms or sleepless nights, but standing outside your own history, knowing love once lived there, knowing joy filled every room, and realizing you can miss a place the way you miss a person. The house with different curtains. Baby, was never brick and timber. Maybe home was your laughter echoing down the hallway. Maybe home was the people who turned four walls into a reason to come back. The house with different curtains no longer needs my key. The children grew up, the seasons changed. The mailbox forgot my name, but those old walls still hold the boy I used to be, the husband I tried to become, the father learning as he went. So let the new family make their memories. Let new voices fill the air, because love doesn't disappear. When we leave a place behind it, it lingers quietly in scraped off frames, faded sunlight, and hearts that remember. The house with different curtains still feels a little like home to me. I put the car back in drive. The evening sun settled low behind the trees. In the rearview mirror, the house grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared around the corner. I kept both hands on the wheel, eyes fixed on the road ahead. But for a few miles, I could still see those old curtains swaying, and hear the sound of a family I love calling me home. I bought a ticket out of habit, back row, third base side. The same old stadium lights were shining, painting summer across the night. Kids were chasing foul balls, fathers teaching scorecards by hand. The crowd rose up and cheered together, and I looked to my right at the empty seat beside me. Funny how loneliness shows up, not in silence, but in places once filled with company. Back row at the ball game, everybody's cheering but me. I still turn to share the little moments with someone who isn't there to see. The crack of the bat, the smell of popcorn, the seventh inning song. Some nights the hardest part of missing someone is remembering how ordinary happiness used to be. Back row at the ball game, you never understood the rules, still ask questions every game. But cheered at all the wrong moments, called every player by the wrong name. I used to roll my eyes and laugh, pretend you drove me crazy. Lord, I'd give anything now to hear you ask which teams were in blue. Just one more time. The scoreboard keeps counting, the innings keep moving. Life never waits for broken hearts to catch up. A back row at the ball game, surrounded by familiar noise, strangers wrapped in celebration, while I sit here with old memories. Because grief doesn't always cry, sometimes it smiles politely, claps when everyone else does, then drives home alone. Back row at the ball game. Maybe growing older is learning that love hides inside the smallest rituals, the seats we saved, the jokes we repeated, the people we assumed would always be there. Back row at the ball game. I finally understood tonight, the game was never what I loved, it was who I watched it with. The laughter between innings, the arguments over bad calls, the way your hand found mine when the crowd stood tall. So here's to every ordinary evening I didn't know I'd miss, and here's to loving deeply enough that an empty seat can still break your heart. Back row at the ball game, I'll save this seat for you a while. The crowd slowly makes its way home. Paper cups roll beneath the bleachers, the stadium lights begin to dim. I sit for one more minute, listening to the echo of applause, then stand, pull my old jacket tight, and walk toward the parking lot alone, but carrying the sound of your laughter through another summer night. There's a barber shop on Willow Avenue, still spinning that red and white sign. The same cracked floor beneath my shoes, but different faces waiting in line. He used to know my father's stories, knew when my first gray hair appeared, asked about my children by their nicknames before life got busy and years disappeared. Some people cut your hair, some people witness your life. The barber who knew everything ain't sitting sitting in that chair no more. He knew who I used to be before the wrinkles and the wars. He knew my victories, my failures, the days I almost fell apart. Funny how the loneliest goodbyes are for the people who quietly memorized your heart. The barber who knew everything. I remember Saturday mornings, sports pages scattered on the floor, men arguing about baseball scores, laughing louder than the jokes deserved. He'd ask, "How's your mama doing? How's work treating you these days?" And somehow between the scissors, a lonely man felt less alone. Nobody writes songs about people like him until they're gone. The barber who knew everything, never asked for anything back. He just listened while the seasons changed, keeping track of the lives we had. A handshake at the doorway, a nod across the room, the kind of kindness you only notice after it's missing. The barber who knew everything. We're losing places like that,
People like that,
the ones who remembered birthdays, called you by old nicknames, and asked how your heart was doing before asking about your hair. The barber who knew everything taught this old soul something true. Being known as one of life's most underrated miracles. To be remembered, to be asked about, to walk through a door and not have to explain yourself. So here's to the quiet witnesses, the ordinary saints, who made this world feel smaller and loneliness feel lighter. Because growing old isn't just losing people you love, it's losing the people who remember who you were before life changed your name. The barber who knew everything still knows me somewhere in my heart. The old chair sits empty now. The scissors have long gone still. I catch my reflection in the mirror, older than I remember becoming. Then I smile to myself, run a hand through silver hair, and whisper, "Thanks for asking how I was doing." Because some men leave behind fortunes, some leave behind songs, and some leave behind 1,000 ordinary conversations. conversations that kept the lonely parts of us alive. Main Street after midnight, storefronts dark and locked, neon signs still flickering, keeping watch above the block. The movie house stands empty, the old bank closed for years. Even the traffic lights seem lonely, changing colors for no one. And I walk these familiar sidewalks like a stranger in my own hometown. How a place can stay the same while everything inside you changes. Main Street after midnight knows every version of me, the boy with restless dreams, the man rushing home from work. Now I'm just an old silhouette passing through forgotten scenes. Loneliness echoes differently on streets that once knew your footsteps. Main Street after midnight. There was a diner on the corner where we'd laugh until closing time, a record shop with dusty windows where I spent my first paycheck. We thought we'd live forever, thought this town would never fade. But people move, people leave, and sometimes they leave without leaving. I still know every shortcut, I just don't know where I'm hurrying to anymore. Main Street after midnight, the stars hang low tonight. I hear old conversations in the spaces between the streetlights. The ones who knew my stories, the ones who called my name, I carry them beside me as I wander through this quiet parade of memory. Main Street after midnight. Maybe growing old is learning how to visit your past without asking it to take you back, to thank the road you traveled, then keep walking. Main Street after midnight, I think I understand now. Home isn't where everything stayed the same. Home is what you carry forward, the laughter, the heartbreak, the people who shaped your soul. This town may not
for both of us. So I'll tip my hat to the empty storefronts, watch the moonlight paint these sidewalks silver, and make peace with becoming a memory in the place that raised me. Main Street after midnight still feels lonely enough to call beautiful. The clock tower strikes one, a cool wind moves down the avenue. I pull my coat a little tighter and stop beneath the old street lamp. No cars, no voices, just a soft hum of electricity, and the sound of my footsteps fading into the dark. For a moment I close my eyes and hear the town as it once was. Then I open them, smile gently, and continue down Main Street. Older, alone, but still finding comfort in the company of old ghosts.
There's a booth by the window at the cafe on Pine, the one where we spend rainy afternoons trying to outrun time. You'd stir sugar through your coffee, I'd pretend not to stare. We talked about everything and nothing, certain we'd always have another conversation left to share. Now the waitress clears the table before I finish my cup. Silence sits down beside me before anyone else does. The booth by the window still catches the afternoon light, but your side stays empty and mine stays here too long. I watch strangers come together, watch strangers say goodbye. Funny how loneliness can fit so perfectly between two coffee cups. The booth by the window. I still order what you loved, even though I never finish it. Still glance toward the front door whenever somebody walks in. Outside the world keeps moving, umbrellas passing in the rain. Inside I'm keeping company with the echoes of your name. Don't come here to hold on to the past. I come here because some habits feel like home. The booth by the window knows every version of my heart, the hopeful one, the broken one, the man learning to grow old. apologies. I whisper into cooling coffee, the booth by the window. Maybe grief isn't wanting someone back. Maybe grief is wanting one more ordinary afternoon, one more bad joke, one more story you've already heard twice before. The booth by the window has taught me loneliness is love with nowhere to go. It's saving a seat long after you stop expecting company. It's remembering how someone laughed, how they reached for your hand, how they made an ordinary Tuesday feel worth arriving for. So I'll sit here a little longer, watching the rain paint the glass, thankful for every hour we once spent wasting time together, because time wasted with the right person was never wasted at all. The booth by the window still waits for a conversation that changed my life. The rain finally lets up, the cafe grows quiet. I fold a few bills beneath my empty cup and pull on my old coat. Before leaving, I rest my hand on the edge of the table one last time, then step out into the fading evening, carrying that familiar ache, the kind that doesn't ask to be cured, only remembered. As the booth by the window disappears behind me, still holding all the words we never thought to treasure until they were gone. I walked into the corner store, the bell's still hanging by the door, different faces behind the counter, different laughter than before. Once upon a time in this town, I couldn't make it half a block without hearing somebody holler, "Hey Benny," from a passing truck. Now strangers brush right by me, eyes fixed somewhere else. I didn't lose my name, I just outlived the people who used it. Nobody calls me Benny here anymore, not the way they used to do. No nicknames from the barbershop, no familiar voices breaking through. Just sir and quiet nods, polite smiles from passing by. Funny how loneliness sounds like your own name fading from the air. Nobody calls me Benny here anymore. There was Tommy at the gas station, Joe down at the hardware store, Miss Annie from the diner, who remembered what I ordered. They knew my first heartbreak, knew when Daddy passed away, knew the version of me before life taught me how heavy growing old could feel. Now their stories rest beneath stone, and I carry the remembering alone. Sometimes grief isn't missing a person, sometimes it's missing who you were around them. Nobody calls me Benny here anymore, and maybe that's what hurts the most, not being forgotten by the whole wide world, just by the little town I loved. I still know every side street, still know every shortcut home, but home feels different when nobody notices you've come back. Nobody calls me Benny here anymore. Maybe we all disappear slowly, not all at once. A friend moves away, a neighbor passes on, a familiar voice goes quiet, until one day you're the only one left who remembers the beginning. Nobody calls me Benny here anymore, but I still answer to that name. The boy chasing baseball dreams, the husband learning patience, the father trying his best. He's still inside these weathered hands, still humming old soul, still humming old soul songs, still grateful for every voice that once called out, Benny, where have you been? So if the world forgets, let it. I remember, and maybe that's enough, because love leaves echoes. And somewhere beyond this lonely town, I like to think the ones I've lost still call my name the way they always did. Nobody calls me Benny here anymore, but heaven just might. I walk back beneath the streetlights, the night air settles around my shoulders. No one waves, no one stops to talk, but in the distance, somewhere between memory and moonlight, I swear I hear it, a familiar laugh, a voice from long ago calling, hey Benny. And for just a moment, I don't feel old, I don't feel forgotten. I simply smile, tip my hat to the empty street, and whisper, I'm still here. I'm still here. I could have taken the highway, been home in 15 minutes flat. But tonight I turned left at Oak Street, just to see what was left of the past. Past the school with faded bleachers, past the church where mama prayed, past the corner where you kissed me on that cold November day. I wasn't lost, I just didn't want to get home too soon. Some nights loneliness asked you to take the scenic route, the long way through town, past the lives I used to know, street by street, memory by memory, following roads that won't let go. Everybody moved on somehow, everybody found somewhere new, but this old heart still slows down at places that once held you. The long way through town, the hardware store is boarded up, the record shop became a bank, the field where we watched fireworks now sits behind an iron gate. I remember every shortcut, every crack along these roads. Funny how the map stays the same while the people disappear. You can't drive back into yesterday, but Lord, you can get close enough to wave. The long way through town, I drive with the windows down, listening for echoes in the dark, searching for familiar sounds. A friend's laugh from another summer, your voice calling my name. The younger man I used to be, riding shotgun all the way. The long way through town. Maybe this isn't sadness, maybe it's gratitude. Wearing an old coat, because how lucky are we to miss something this much? It means it mattered, it means we lived. Oh, the long way through town has taught me how to let go slowly, not by forgetting what I loved, but by carrying it gently. The people, the places, the versions of myself that didn't make it this far, I'll honor them by keeping the engine running, by watching one more sunset, by loving what remains. So tonight, I'll miss you without shame. Smile at every ghost and choose the roads that take a little longer, because home isn't always where you're going. Sometimes it's everything you pass along the way. The long way through town still gets me home somehow. The dashboard glows beneath tired eyes, the city lights fade in the rearview mirror. I rest one hand on the
the steering wheel, the other on old memories. No destination waiting, no one expecting me, just miles of quiet road and the soft hum of tires beneath the stars. I drive a little slower tonight, not because I've forgotten where I'm headed, but because I finally understand that some roads deserve to be remembered before they're gone.
Sunday morning found me early, walking through those old wooden doors. Sunlight fell through stained glass windows, painting colors across the floor. I took the pew 3 rows from the front, the one we'd always claimed. Mama with the folded hands, Daddy humming every hymn. Now the space beside me carries on, it doesn't light. Faith gets quieter with age, just softer. The empty church pew still know the shape of their prayers, the whispered amen, the hands reaching through hard years. I hear echoes in the silence, feel ghosts in the hymn. Funny how loneliness kneels beside you when the choir begins, the empty church pew. Mama taught me grace was kindness, Daddy said to work and trust. Neither one had all the answers, but somehow they were enough. I used to stare out through the window, counting minutes till we leave. Now I give anything for one more sermon. I was too young to appreciate. I don't come here searching for miracles, I come here to remember the people who taught me how to hope. The empty church pew holds more love than loneliness. It reminds me I belong before I understood belonging, before funerals, before regrets, before learning how to grieve, back when faith looked like Mama's smile and Daddy's calloused hands. The empty church pew. Maybe heaven isn't far away, maybe it's hidden in old hymns we still remember, and recipes passed down. it's so empty, because love leaves traces time cannot sweep away. I carry their prayers in my pocket, the lessons in my bones. And though I walk back out alone, I never leave this place without them. So let the choir sing louder, let the sunlight find my face. Because growing old has taught me this: the people we lose don't stop shaping us, they simply move from beside us to within us. The empty church pew still brings me closer to home. The final hymn fades into silence. People gather their coats and quietly leave. I linger for a moment longer, running my hand across worn wood polished by generations. Then I bow my head, not asking for more time, not asking for answers, only whispering, thank you for letting me be there. And as I step back into the morning light, I realize that loneliness and gratitude sometimes sit in the very same pew. The marquee lights still flicker, though half the letters don't shine. One screen left in the whole old building, trying hard to outrun time. I bought a ticket out of habit, popcorn for one again. Sat near the back where shadows gather, in the same row where we used to sit, holding hands through happy endings. Funny how life changes. One day you're the young couple in love, the next you're the old man watching alone. At the last theater downtown, the movies still begin on time, but the seat beside me stays empty, and so does part of my heart. I laugh a little softer now, don't reach for your hand. Loneliness looks different under silver screens and fading lights. The last theater downtown. You cried at all the sad it seems. Even when you knew the end, I'd pretend I didn't notice, then tease you all the way home. We shared one bucket of popcorn, argued over what to see. Lord, I never thought I'd miss the little disagreements more than the grand romances. Nobody warns you that grief lives inside ordinary rituals. At the last theater downtown, I watched strangers fall in love, young hearts believing forever the way we once believed. And for a moment I envy them, not because they're young, but because they don't yet know how precious an ordinary Tuesday can become. The last theater downtown, the credits always roll, the lights always come back on. People gather their coats and head home. Maybe that's what life is, a beautiful story. You never realize you're watching until it's halfway over. At the last theater downtown, I finally understand the greatest love stories rarely belong on movie screens. They're found in shared silence and inside jokes, and someone saving you the aisle seat without being asked. So let the projector keep spinning. Let young lovers fill these rows. I'll sit here remembering the woman who made every ending feel less lonely. Because the best part of the movie was never the film itself, it was turning toward you when the lights came up. The last theater downtown still plays our favorite scenes. The credits fade into darkness, the theater empties one row at a time. I remain seated for a little while longer, listening to the hum of the projector. Then I stand, button my old coat, and glance once more at the empty seat beside me. A soft smile crosses my face, not because the loneliness is gone, but because love stayed long enough to leave memories worth replaying. As I step back into the cool night air, the old marquee glows behind me, and I whisper, thanks for staying till the credits. I drove through the town that raised me, past streets I once knew by heart. The old oak tree still stood there, guarding the edge of the park. The diner poured another coffee, the church rang Sunday bells, but nobody stopped to wave at me like I had become a visitor. In the story I once lived, the town remembered how to breathe, it just forgot. The sound of my name. The places that don't know my name anymore still know the footprints that I left behind. The dreams I carried down these sidewalks, the tears I hid beneath these street lights. Everybody moves on, even hometowns do. And loneliness feels different when you're standing in the middle of what used to be you. The places that don't know my name anymore. I passed the field where we played baseball, the porch where Mama called us in, the bench where I first kissed someone I swore I'd love until the end. I remembered every shortcut, every scar along these roads. Lord, I know this town better than it knows me now. Growing old isn't losing your memories, it's becoming the only one left carrying them. The places that don't know my name anymore still hold pieces of my soul. A younger man laughing loudly, a father rushing home from work. I can almost hear old friends talking over one another, but echoes on company and memories can't open doors. The places that don't know my name anymore. For years I thought I wanted everything back. The people, the places, the version of me that belonged here. But maybe love isn't possession, maybe it's gratitude. Maybe some things were never meant to stay, only meant to shape us. The places that don't know my name anymore have taught me how to let go gently, not with bitterness, not with regret, but with open hands. Because I was lucky enough to call these streets my own, lucky enough to be loved here, lucky enough to miss it this much. So let the children make new memories, let strangers fill these rooms. I'll carry what was given to me into whatever year And if nobody remembers the man I used to be, that's alright. I remember, and somewhere beneath these silver skies, the boy I once was still runs these roads barefoot, calling this place home. The places that don't know my name anymore will always know my heart. I spent years looking backward, searching old streets for my name, counting empty chairs at dinner tables, trying to outrun change. I miss people I couldn't call anymore, held photographs against my chest, thinking home was something I had lost somewhere behind me. But morning keeps arriving, even for old hearts that never asked for another chance. Maybe there's still a place for me beneath these silver skies, not where I used to be, but somewhere I haven't seen yet. A porch I haven't sat on, a story left to tell. Funny how hope survives even after loneliness knows you well. Still a place for me. The coffee tastes the same this morning, the birds still sing before the dawn, children still laugh in playgrounds, and roses bloom without permission. The world didn't stop for my sorrow. At first I thought that was cruel. Now I think maybe it's mercy, life whispering, come along. Growing old isn't the end of becoming, it's learning how to begin again slowly. Place for me in conversations yet to come, in strangers who become neighbors, in songs I haven't sung. One more sunset drive, one more unexpected smile, one more reason to leave the front porch light on. Still a place for me. I won't be 22 again, I won't get back the people I buried, the towns that changed, the love that slipped away. But maybe healing was never about getting them back. Maybe healing is saying thank you and continuing on. Yes, there's still a place for me inside this weathered life, with my scars, with my memories, with these trembling hands. I'll carry every goodbye without letting it close my heart. I'll speak a little softer, laugh a little louder, call the people I love, watch another sunrise, because being here, after all the losses, after all the lonely nights, is its own kind of miracle. I may not belong to the places behind me anymore, but I still belong to this day, to this breath, to this beautiful unfinished life. There's still a place for me, and I'll meet it with an open heart. The porch swing moves gently in the evening breeze. A cup of coffee cools beside me. The sky turns gold, then lavender, then deep midnight blue. I think of everyone I've loved, everyone I've lost, every version of myself that carried me this far. Then I rise slowly to my feet, turn on the porch light, and smile into the gathering night. Not because I'm no longer lonely, but because I finally understand loneliness and gratitude can live in the same heart. And even now, with silver hair and tired eyes, life is still setting another place at the table for me.